everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about some of the things I learned on my first proper dive trip to Cozumel, Mexico. For some reference, I was PADI open water certified earlier this year, but wanted to explore an ocean, and who knows, maybe see some cool fish, shipwrecks while I'm at it. Cozumel delivered on all aspects of this wish list, but I hope this video can give you some useful thoughts before planning your own dive trip to Cozumel. So let's jump into it. We arrived at Cozumel Airport on a weekend, which seems to be when most of the flights from North America land on the island directly. There are plenty of taxis once you leave the airport, and most accept US dollars. It costs somewhere between 5 and 10 USD to get from the airport to your Airbnb, hotel, resort, etc. For this particular trip, I went with a dive school from Canada. We were staying at the Hotel Cozumel and went on several boat dives with the dive shop Dive Paradise, which was conveniently located directly across the street from the hotel. I believe you can buy dive and stay packages on their website, but most resorts on the island also offer similar packages with local dive shops. Hotel Cozumel was an all-inclusive, meaning that all the food at the hotel was included with the package. They had a pretty good variety of foods, really large property, and the rooms had plenty of indoor and outdoor space to hang and dry gear. The hotel was pretty much equidistant between the two cruise ports on the island, so the location was pretty good, with lots of nearby grocery stores, shops, etc. The hotel had lockers for dive gear, which was super convenient and made the early meeting times for the boat dives much easier. The hotel property also had plenty of room to dry and rinse gear after the boat trips. The lockers were available for rent with the room for a fairly cheap price. Our group had 2 tank boat dives every morning for the week that we were there, so the boat would meet us at the Dive Paradise dock every morning around 8 a.m., and we would go to a different dive site every day. The first photo here is the hotel lobby, which was very open concept. The middle photo shows the dive lockers. You would be assigned a number and given a key for your locker that you would have for the rest of your stay. The third photo here is the dock, where the boat would pick us up each morning and drop us off after the completion of our dives. Something to keep in mind is that diving is only permitted in Cozumel on days when the port is open. From my understanding, this is something that is usually decided early in the morning depending on conditions, wind speeds, etc. The staff on the boats were very friendly, all of our tanks were full, and the crew was very helpful with switching tanks between the dives, rinsing our masks, anything we needed really. They also provided snacks in between each of our dives, which was a really nice plus. Most of the dive sites were around a 20 to 30 minute boat ride from the hotel. Personally, I found that taking gravel or some type of anti-nausea medication before the boat ride was really helpful. So now on to some of the dives. As a novice diver, I'm just going to outline a couple of my thoughts. First, Cozumel is known for drift diving, aka having good buoyancy is pretty key. It's well worth it to practice a couple times in the pool, especially if you're new or it's your first time diving in the ocean. Coming from Canada, I also wasn't used to the saltwater diving, so that affected my wading. Next, make sure you have good gear. Aside from the basics of a BCD, wetsuit, regs, tank, weights, some alternate things that I found very useful were an SMB and a dive slate to write down and remember the name of your boat and the channel that they can be contacted at. You may not necessarily be on the same boat every day, so I found it really useful to write this information down during the briefing. Third, I quickly learned that dive prep on a boat is fairly fast, so having a dive bag with all your gear for the day and being able to be ready for diving in under 10 minutes is quite important. Next, Cozumel is a very humid place. Defog for your mask is pretty much a must. Knives are not allowed in the marine park, so I brought a line cutter, which was also good to have. Flashlights are super useful on most dives, especially to see in the rocks, in crevices, or find the Cozumel's splendid toadfish, or a seahorse if you're lucky. Normal sunscreens are also not allowed to be worn while diving, snorkeling, etc. in Cozumel. You'll need to have a mineral-based sunscreen. I bought mine on Amazon before going, and that worked really well for me. Next, make sure you have up-to-date DAN insurance or other diving insurance plans. This is especially important when you travel. There's loads of amazing marine life in Cozumel. Be sure to bring your camera and stay a safe distance away from the animals. The visibility is pretty great. In the middle, we see a spotted eagle ray, and on the right is a nice eel that we saw at the C-53 wreck. For one of the days we were there, the port was closed. As an alternative, we scheduled to do cenote diving also through Dive Paradise. We took the 7 a.m. ferry from Cozumel to Playa del Carmen. When booking the ferry tickets, though, it's important not to buy a return ticket as there are 2 companies that take these trips, but they alternate every hour. I believe it cost around 15 USD each way, and the trip took about 40 minutes. The boat ride, however, was super rocky, especially since the wind speeds were quite high that day. I would definitely recommend taking gravel beforehand if you're susceptible to motion sickness. Once we got to Playa del Carmen, we met our drivers and started the approximate 1-hour drive to Tulum, where we went diving in Cenote Angelita and Cenote Calavera. Both of these cenotes were slightly more expensive than what was originally included in the package, as they were a bit more unique, if that's a way to put it. Cenote Angelita, on the right here, was a 60-meter deep cenote and had a hydrogen sulfide cloud in the middle. We dove to the 40-meter maximum recreational depth and passed through the hydrogen sulfide cloud. Shout out to our flashlights here. It was a very unique experience passing through that. The second site, Cenote Calavera, was located fairly close by, and we hovered around the 20-meter depth during this dive, if I recall correctly. This was more of a traditional cave dive. You'll be able to see that pretty clearly in my other video, Cozumel Diving Part 2. But this was stunning in my opinion. Yes, claustrophobic at times, but the clarity of the water made for a very unique dive, and one that I would probably love to do again someday. On the way back to the ferry, I highly recommend stopping at a local restaurant and getting some authentic tacos. They're definitely not to be missed after a full day of adventure. In summary, Cozumel is a great place to visit any time of the year, and I absolutely loved it as a destination for my first time ocean diving. I hope this video helped and gave you some idea of what to expect. Happy diving, and catch you on the next adventure. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to stay up to date with the upcoming adventures I have planned. Bye for now.